We often fear the big, known risks in life, though dramatic, sudden dangers that capture our headlines and imaginations. But what about the silent ones? The daily habits that seem so harmless, so ingrained in our modern lives, that we never give them a second thought. For some, these seemingly innocent routines are quietly, persistently tilting the scales, creating an environment where one of the most formidable diseases can take root. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover these silent aggressors, the everyday habits secretly raising your pancreatic cancer risk. First, let's talk about the sugar and soda trap, a cornerstone of the modern diet that has become a pervasive, hidden threat. We all enjoy a sweet treat now and then, but when a high-sugar lifestyle becomes the norm, the consequences can be devastatingly silent. Picture this: every time you drink a sugary soda, eat a processed pastry, or indulge in a dessert laden with refined sugars, you're sending a powerful signal to your pancreas. This signal demands a surge of insulin to manage the sudden spike in blood glucose. Over time, with daily repeated bombardments of sugar, your body's cells can become less responsive to insulin's call. This is known as insulin resistance. The pancreas, working tirelessly in the background, is forced to pump out even more insulin to compensate, leading to a state of hyperinsulinemia. This high insulin environment is precisely what cancer cells thrive on. Insulin itself is a growth factor, and chronically elevated levels can encourage cells, including precancerous ones in the pancreas, to grow and multiply uncontrollably. But the danger doesn't stop there. A diet consistently high in sugar also fuels chronic low-grade inflammation throughout your body. Think of inflammation as your body's natural response to injury or infection, a short-term, helpful process. However, when it becomes a constant, smoldering fire fueled by poor dietary choices, it damages healthy tissues and creates a fertile ground for diseases like cancer to develop. The combination of insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and the potential for obesity and other significant risk factor driven by excess sugar transforms your internal landscape into a welcoming home for pancreatic cancer cells. It's a quiet, cumulative process, happening one sugary drink at a time. Next, we confront a habit so common it has become a default state for many: the ILL, sit later problem. We sit to work, we sit to eat, we sit to commute, and we sit to relax. This prolonged sedentary behavior is more than just a lack of exercise. It is an independent risk factor for serious diseases, including pancreatic cancer. When you remain seated for extended periods, your body's metabolic machinery grinds to a near halt. Your large muscle groups, like those in your legs and glutes, which are crucial for processing fats and sugars from your bloodstream, become inactive. This leads to impaired glucose metabolism and higher levels of circulating insulin, mirroring the dangerous environment created by a high-sugar diet. But the sinister effects of prolonged sitting go deeper. A sedentary lifestyle weakens your body's immune surveillance system. This intricate network of cells is responsible for identifying and eliminating rogue cells, including those that could become cancerous before they can form a tumor. When you're constantly inactive, this surveillance becomes less efficient, allowing abnormal cells a greater opportunity to evade detection and proliferate. Furthermore, sitting for hours on end contributes to that same systemic, low-grade inflammation we discussed earlier. The lack of movement promotes the release of inflammatory markers in the body, adding yet another layer of stress and creating an internal environment that is conducive to cancer development. It's a stark reminder that our bodies were designed for movement, and when we deny them that fundamental need, the silent consequences can be profound. Let's move on to the processed meat habit. For many, a quick sandwich with deli meat, a hot dog at a barbecue, or a side of bacon with breakfast is a regular part of life. These foods are convenient and flavorful, but they harbor a hidden danger directly linked to pancreatic cancer. The culprits are the chemical compounds used to preserve them, specifically nitrates and nitrites. When you consume processed meats like bacon, sausage, ham, and hot dogs, these preservatives can undergo a chemical reaction in your stomach. They can combine with amines, which are naturally present in proteins, to form unnitroso compounds. These compounds are potent carcinogens, meaning they are substances known to cause cancer. Once formed, these carcinogens can travel through your body and have the potential to directly damage the DNA within your pancreatic cells. DNA damage is a critical first step in the development of cancer. It can cause mutations in key genes that control cell growth and division, leading a normal cell down the path to becoming a malignant one. The World Health Organization has classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, placing it in the same category as tobacco, smoke, and asbestos, precisely because of this well-established link, while an occasional indulgence is unlikely to cause significant harm. Making these foods a staple in your diet means you are repeatedly exposing your pancreas to these DNA-damaging agents, quietly increasing your risk over years and even decades. Now, consider a habit that is often overlooked but fundamentally important: chronic dehydration. We are told to drink more water, but this advice is often framed in the context of skin health or energy levels. The reality is far more critical. Your pancreas, like every organ in your body, requires adequate hydration to function optimally. It is a gland that produces not only insulin but also powerful digestive enzymes that help break down your food. When you are in a state of chronic low-level dehydration, meaning you consistently fail to drink enough water throughout the day, the fluid volume in your body decreases. This can lead to the secretions from the pancreas, including those vital enzymes, becoming thicker and more sluggish. This suboptimal function places direct stress on the organ. More insidiously, a state of dehydration means your body becomes less efficient at flushing out metabolic waste and toxins. Your blood becomes more concentrated, and toxins that would normally be swiftly filtered and eliminated by your kidneys can linger longer and in higher concentrations. This toxic buildup increases the overall inflammatory burden on your body and places additional stress on organs like the pancreas, which are sensitive to such insults. Over the long term, this constant state of low-level stress and toxic exposure can contribute to cellular damage and inflammation, creating an environment where the risk of pancreatic cancer is elevated. Then there is the issue of heavy alcohol consumption. The link between alcohol and liver disease is widely understood, but its devastating impact on the pancreas is often less discussed. While the most direct and powerful link is through the development of chronic pancreatitis, a persistent and severe inflammation of the pancreas that is a major precursor to cancer, the danger is not limited to those with this condition. Consistent, heavy drinking acts as a direct toxin to pancreatic cells. Alcohol and its metabolic byproduct, acetaldehyde, can cause oxidative stress and direct cellular damage within the pancreas. This damage triggers a powerful inflammatory response. Each episode of heavy drinking can be seen as an inflammatory assault on the organ. Over time, this repeated cycle of damage and inflammation can lead to irreversible changes in the pancreatic tissue, including fibrosis and scarring. This scarred, chronically inflamed environment is highly susceptible to the genetic mutations that drive cancer. Even for those who don't develop full-blown chronic pancreatitis, a habit of heavy alcohol consumption consistently fuels systemic inflammation, impairs immune function, and burdens the body with toxins, all of which contribute to a heightened cancer risk. It's a clear and present danger, where each drink adds to the cumulative inflammatory load on this vital organ. Equally important is what's missing from the plate: the missing fiber. In a world dominated by refined grains, processed foods, and sugary snacks, dietary fiber has become a neglected nutrient for many. A diet devoid of sufficient fiber from fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes has far-reaching consequences that indirectly but significantly influence your pancreatic cancer risk. Fiber is crucial for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome, the complex ecosystem of trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract. These bacteria play a vital role in regulating your immune system, controlling inflammation, and even metabolizing certain compounds from your food. When you fail to feed these beneficial bacteria the fiber they need, the balance can shift in favor of harmful pro-inflammatory microbes. This state, known as dysbiosis, can lead to a leaky gut, where the intestinal lining becomes more permeable, allowing bacterial toxins and inflammatory molecules to escape into the bloodstream. This triggers a low-grade, systemic inflammatory response that, as we've seen, is a key promoter of cancer development. Furthermore, a low-fiber diet is often, by default, a diet high in processed foods and refined sugars, which directly contribute to insulin resistance and obesity. By neglecting fiber, you are not just missing out on a nutrient, you are actively disrupting your body's delicate internal balance and promoting the very conditions, inflammation and metabolic dysfunction, that pave the way for pancreatic cancer. Finally, we must address the sleepless cycle. In our 24/7 culture, sleep is often treated as a luxury rather than a biological necessity. But chronic sleep deprivation, consistently getting less than the recommended 7 to 8 hours per night, wreaks havoc on your internal systems in ways that are profoundly conducive to cancer. Sleep is when your body performs its most critical repair and regulation functions. When you are sleep deprived, this essential maintenance is disrupted. The regulation of key hormones, including cortisol, the stress hormone, and insulin, is thrown into disarray. Chronic sleep loss is linked to increased cortisol levels and impaired insulin sensitivity, creating that same dangerous metabolic state of high insulin and high blood sugar. Moreover, your immune system relies heavily on sleep to function effectively. During deep sleep, your body produces and releases cytokines, proteins that are crucial for fighting infection and inflammation, and for coordinating the immune cells that hunt down and destroy cancer cells. When you chronically shortchange your sleep, your immune function is suppressed, weakening this critical line of defense. This, combined with the fact that sleep deprivation itself is a potent trigger for chronic inflammation, creates a perfect storm. Over time, the sleepless cycle fosters an internal environment of hormonal imbalance, impaired immunity, and persistent inflammation, an environment where the development and growth of cancer cells, including those in the pancreas, become far more likely. The goal isn't to live in fear, but to live with awareness. Recognizing these silent aggressors is the first step toward disarming them. These are not unchangeable genetic fates. They are habits, and habits can be modified. Small, consistent changes to what you eat, how you move, and how you rest are not just about general health. They are a direct defense against one of the most aggressive cancers. By turning awareness into action, you empower yourself to reclaim control over your health and actively reduce your risk, one healthy choice at a time.